When to get a solicitor involved in the home buying process. You have to get a solicitor when you buy a property. They're a really important part of the process. You'll have multiple engagements with your solicitor throughout the home buying process. I like to think of them as your second line of defence after your mortgage advisor being your first line of defence. They're there to protect you and ultimately to stop you from making any catastrophic mistakes as you go through the process of buying your first home. But when is the right time? When you're making an offer on a property, you definitely need a solicitor involved at that stage. They need to be checking the sale and purchase agreement before you sign it. And if you're making an unconditional offer, they also need to check the LIM report and the property title before you make your offer. If you're making a conditional offer, then it's possible you can have those checks built into your conditions of your offer, and then it can be done after the offer is made, which saves a little bit of cost up front. However, it's worth building your team early in the process, so I would get in touch with a solicitor early on, make that connection with your lawyer and find one that you like and can relate to. Sometimes they can take care of some of the AML requirements early on as well, so that when you do find that property and you do need to get into the nitty-gritty of getting your lawyer to approve those sort of details, a lot of that work's done up front and there's less urgency later on in the process. Solicitors also assist with negotiating with the seller's solicitor after you're under contract. That can be things like extending a finance clause or any condition in your agreement if you need more time. And it can also be things like making sure that the pre-settlement inspection is done in line with how it should be. You also need a solicitor when you're applying to withdraw for your KiwiSaver. And so the timing of that depends on the transaction. If you need those KiwiSaver funds to pay a deposit when you go unconditional, then you'll need them involved earlier in the process to help you with that. If you don't need your KiwiSaver funds until after you're unconditional, they obviously still need to be involved, but that can be slightly later in the process. The main time spent by a solicitor when working on your transaction will be working through the bank and legal documentation with you so that you fully understand it, and also on settlement day. There's quite a bit of work that they have to coordinate between drawing down the bank funds and changing the physical ownership of property from the seller to you. There's a bit involved there, and so they spend a lot of time on the day helping you make that happen. And so that's really where they come into their own and make the process a really good one for you and make sure that you feel valued. Solicitors come at a cost, and so you'll usually get an invoice on or after the settlement date for the work that a solicitor has done for you. Good solicitors will be transparent about pricing up front, and so that there's no surprises on the day when that bill comes through. Keep in mind that the more time a solicitor spends on your transaction, the higher the bill is going to be. So for example, if you're buying a property off the plans, that usually comes with a more detailed sale and purchase agreement, which requires more thorough checking, which requires more time, and therefore will come at a slightly higher cost. So just keep that in mind. The more time they spend on you, on your transaction, generally the higher your bill is going to be. So in summary, connect with a solicitor early in the process. Reach out to them as you need to throughout the home buying process to make sure that they're checking on the things that you're signing yourself up to. Use your mortgage advisor as much as you can to get information out of them as well, so you don't have to go to your solicitor as much, which then reduces cost. And make sure that your solicitor has all the details that they need to help you make an informed decision and ultimately protect you when making the biggest investment that you might ever make.